She stood on my doorstep like the last 17 years hadn't happened. Same perfume. Same fake smile. Same way of tilting her head like she was posing for a photo no one asked for. My mother, Lorraine Holloway, looked at me with eyes I hadn't seen since I was 8 years old. "Wren, sweetheart. Look at you, all grown up." She reached for a hug. I didn't move. I heard about Grandma Pearl. Such a tragedy. But listen, honey. The lawyer mentioned the house is being sold. I just want to make sure I get my fair share. You understand, right? Family is family. Family. She abandoned me at 8 years old with a suitcase and a lie. She didn't call for 17 years. She didn't come to my graduations, my birthdays, my grandmother's funeral. But the house was being sold. And suddenly family mattered. I leaned against the doorframe and smiled. You left me here for 1 week, Mom. Remember. It's been 17 years. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you the same thing you gave me. Her smile flickered. I'm going to leave you with nothing. And I'm not coming back. Then I closed the door. Before I tell you how we got here, tell me, where are you listening from? Drop your location so I know I'm not alone. I was 8 years old when my mother decided I wasn't worth keeping. She didn't say it like that, of course. Nobody ever says the cruel thing directly. They wrap it in soft words, temporary promises, little lies that are easier to swallow than the truth. It's just for a week, baby. Mommy has some things to figure out. Grandma Pearl is going to take such good care of you. And when I come back, we'll do something special, okay? Just you and me. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? I was 8. She was my mother. The concept that a parent could simply leave hadn't entered my universe yet. I remember that day in fragments. The long drive to Grandma Pearl's house. A small cottage at the edge of a small town, surrounded by wildflowers and silence. The way my mother's hands gripped the steering wheel a little too tight. The suitcase she packed for me. Not a weekend bag but a full suitcase, stuffed with clothes for every season. I didn't notice that detail then. I notice it now. She had already decided she wasn't coming back. Grandma Pearl was waiting on the porch when we arrived. 71 years old, silver hair pinned up, wearing an apron dusted with flour because she'd been baking cookies for my arrival. "There's my girl," she called out, arms open wide. I ran to her. Buried myself in her softness, her warmth, the smell of vanilla and lavender that would come to mean safety for the rest of my life. Behind me, I heard my mother's car door close, her heels clicking on the stone path. "Thanks for doing this, Mom," Lorraine said. Her voice was tight, rehearsed. "Just a week. Maybe 2. I'll call. You do what you need to do, Lorraine." Grandma Pearl's voice was careful, neutral. Later I would understand that she already knew. My mother crouched down to my level. Her eyes were wet, tears I thought. Guilt I would later realize. The tears of someone who knows they're doing something unforgivable but isn't strong enough to stop. "Be good for Grandma, okay? Love you, Wren. I'll be back before you know it." She kissed my forehead, held me for a moment too long. Then she stood up, walked to her car and drove away. I waved until I couldn't see her anymore. That was the last time I saw my mother for 17 years. The first week I waited by the window. Every car that passed I thought might be her. Every phone ring I ran to answer. I asked Grandma Pearl 100 times. "Is Mommy coming today? Is she coming tomorrow? When is she coming?" Pearl would hold me tight and say, "Soon, sweetheart. Soon." But soon didn't come. The week turned into a month. The month turned into 3. By the time autumn arrived and I had to start school in this new town, I understood something had shifted. I just didn't have the words for it yet. "Is my mom dead?" I asked Grandma Pearl one night, because that was the only explanation my 8-year-old brain could produce. Pearl's face crumpled. She pulled me onto her lap, wrapped her arms around me, and held me while I cried. "No, baby. Your mama isn't dead. She's just lost right now. Some people get lost and they don't know how to find their way back. It's not your fault. It was never your fault." Then why doesn't she come get me? Pearl didn't answer. She just held me tighter. That night, I heard her crying in her room. Soft, muffled sobs she didn't think I could hear. I learned later that she had called Lorraine dozens of times, left messages, sent letters, begged her to at least call her daughter to explain, to give me something to hold on to. Lorraine never responded. She had moved on, started a new life. And I wasn't part of the blueprint. School was hard in ways I didn't expect. Not academically. I was smart, and Grandma Pearl made sure I did my homework every night. But socially I was a ghost. "Where's your mom?" kids would ask. "She's coming back," I'd say. "She's just busy." But weeks turned into months, turned into years. And eventually I stopped saying she was coming back. Eventually I stopped mentioning her at all. I became the quiet girl. The one who sat in the back of the classroom, who ate lunch alone, who watched other kids get picked up by their parents and felt something hollow open up in her chest. Grandma Pearl did everything she could to fill that hollow. She came to every school play, every parent-teacher conference, every sports day. She learned to braid my hair from YouTube tutorials. She stayed up late helping me with projects, made my favorite meals when I was sad, held me through nightmares about a mother who never came back. She was 71 when I arrived. She should have been enjoying her retirement, her garden, her quiet life. Instead, she raised a broken little girl. And she never once complained. When I was 13, I found my mother on Facebook. I hadn't been looking for her, not consciously. But I had typed her name into the search bar just to see, and there she was. Lorraine Holloway. Now Lorraine Monroe. She had gotten remarried. A man named Garrett. Silver hair, expensive suits, the kind of smile that looked like it cost money. They lived in Florida. Big house, pool, boat. Her profile was full of photos. Vacations in the Caribbean. Dinners at fancy restaurants. Cocktail parties with other rich couples. Not a single photo of me. Not a single mention that she had a daughter at all. I stared at the screen for hours, scrolling through years of posts, searching for any sign that she remembered I existed. There was nothing. She had erased me. Not just from her life but from her history. To anyone looking at her Facebook, Lorraine Monroe was a glamorous woman who had married well and lived beautifully. No abandoned daughter. No shameful past. No guilt. Just cocktails and sunsets and comments like, "Living my best life." I closed the laptop and didn't cry. Something had shifted inside me. The hope I'd been carrying, that small, stubborn flame that whispered maybe she'll come back, maybe she misses me, maybe she's just waiting for the right moment, flickered out. She wasn't coming back. She had never planned to. I was a chapter she had closed, and she had no intention of reopening it. High school was when I started to rebuild. Not because the pain went away, it didn't. But because Grandma Pearl sat me down one day and said something I've never forgotten. "Wren, you have two choices. You can spend your life waiting for people who will never show up. Or you can build a life so beautiful that their absence becomes irrelevant." I know which one I'd choose. But it's your decision. Chose to build. I threw myself into school. Made a few close friends, not many but loyal ones. I got a part-time job at a local flower shop, discovered I loved working with my hands, creating arrangements, bringing beauty into ordinary moments. I applied to college with scholarships and financial aid. Grandma Pearl couldn't afford tuition, but she gave me everything she had. A place to live, food on the table, unwavering belief that I could be something. I graduated high school with honors. Pearl sat in the front row, crying and clapping so loud I could hear her over everyone else. Lorraine didn't come. She didn't even know it was happening. But I realized that day that I didn't need her there. I had the only parent who mattered. College was 4 years of hustle. I studied business. Worked 3 jobs, flower shop, coffee shop, tutoring on weekends. I saved every dollar I could, learned everything about running a small business, dreamed about opening my own place someday. I met Theo during junior year. He was pre-law, serious and focused, with a dry sense of humor that took some getting used to. Our first date was at a cheap diner near campus. We talked for 4 hours about nothing and everything. "What's your family like?" he asked eventually. I hesitated. It was a question I dreaded, the one that always required explanation. "My grandmother raised me," I said. "My mother left when I was 8. I haven't seen her since." He didn't gasp, didn't offer pity or platitudes. He just nodded, took a sip of his coffee and said, "Her loss." 2 words. Simple. Direct. True. I fell in love with him that night. After graduation, I moved back to be closer to Grandma Pearl. She was 83 now, slower, smaller, but still sharp as ever. She still baked cookies when I visited. Still called me every Sunday morning. Still told me she was proud of me at least once a week. I opened my flower shop with a small business loan and every penny I'd saved. Wren's Blooms. A tiny storefront on Main Street, filled with wildflowers and custom arrangements and all the beauty I'd learned to create from emptiness. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't Florida mansions and Caribbean vacations. But it was mine. Theo graduated law school, passed the bar, got a job at a firm 2 towns over. He proposed on the anniversary of our first date, in that same cheap diner, with a ring he'd saved for months to buy. Said yes. For the first time in my life, everything felt like it was falling into place. And then Grandma Pearl got sick. It started small. A cough she couldn't shake, a tiredness that wouldn't lift. She insisted it was nothing. "Just old age," she said. "Don't fuss." But I fussed. I took her to doctors. Demanded tests. Sat in waiting rooms, holding her hand, terrified of what they might find. They didn't find anything. Her heart was weak, they said, but stable. She just needed rest. She just needed to slow down. She tried. We both tried. But Pearl had spent 17 years running on love and willpower, pouring everything she had into a child who wasn't even hers to raise. Her body was tired in ways rest couldn't fix. She died on a Tuesday morning in April. I was with her, holding her hand, telling her how much I loved her, how grateful I was, how she had saved my life just by being there. Her last words were, "Be happy, Wren. You deserve it. You always did." Then she closed her eyes. And the only real parent I ever had was gone. The funeral was small. Pearl didn't have many people left. Most of her friends had passed years ago. But the church was full anyway, packed with townspeople who had watched her raise me, shop owners who knew her by name, families whose weddings and funerals and births had been marked with flowers from my shop. I gave the eulogy, stood at the podium, hands shaking, voice cracking, and told them about a woman who took in an abandoned child and gave her everything. "She didn't have to keep me," I said. "My mother left me here for a week. 1 week. And Pearl could have called child services. Could have sent me into the system. Could have said, 'This isn't my responsibility,' and been completely justified. But she didn't. She chose me. Every single day for 17 years she chose me. And that choice is the reason I'm standing here. It's the reason I'm anything at all." Cried. Everyone cried. Lorraine didn't come. She didn't send flowers. Didn't send a card. Didn't even acknowledge that her own mother had died. I found out later that the funeral home had contacted her. She'd been listed as next of kin in Pearl's old documents. They'd called, left messages, sent emails. No response. Her mother was dead, and Lorraine couldn't be bothered to acknowledge it. The rage I felt that day was different from anything I'd experienced before. Not hot, not explosive, cold. Calculated. The kind of rage that doesn't burn out. The kind that waits. 2 weeks after the funeral, I met with Pearl's lawyer. His name was Mr. Hendricks, an old man with kind eyes who had handled Pearl's affairs for decades. "Your grandmother was very clear about her wishes," he said, sliding a folder across his desk. "She updated her will 3 years ago. Everything, the house, the car, the savings account, the life insurance. All of it goes to you." He nodded. I'd expected that. "She also left this." He handed me an envelope. "She asked me to give it to you personally after she passed." I opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a letter. Pearl's handwriting, shaky but still elegant. My dearest Wren, if you're reading this, then I'm gone, and I'm sorry I couldn't stay longer. But I need you to know some things that I never had the courage to say while I was alive. When your mother left you here, I knew she wasn't coming back. I could see it in her eyes. She had already decided you were too heavy to carry into her new life. I could have called her bluff. Could have forced her to take responsibility. But I looked at you, 8 years old, so small, so scared, so desperate to believe that your mother loved you, and I made a different choice. Chose you. Not because I had to. 'Cause I wanted to. Because you were worth choosing. And I need you to know something else. Your mother forfeited her rights to you, and to me, the day she drove away. I went to a lawyer. I had documents drawn up. Legally, morally, completely. Lorraine Holloway is not your mother. She is not my daughter. She is not entitled to anything I leave behind. If she comes looking for money after I'm gone, and she will because that's who she is, show her these documents. Show her that she made her choice 17 years ago, and choices have consequences. But more importantly, Wren, don't let her back into your heart. She doesn't deserve the space. You are whole without her. You are complete. You are loved. Be happy, my darling. That's all I ever wanted for you. All my love forever, Grandma Pearl. I read the letter 3 times. Then I held it to my chest and sobbed. Even in death she was protecting me. Mr. Hendricks waited patiently until I composed myself. There's one more thing, he said gently. Your grandmother anticipated that your mother might contest the will. She took precautions. He handed me another folder. Inside were legal documents, notarized statements, a formal disinheritance declaration, evidence of abandonment, 17 years of unanswered letters and phone records proving Lorraine had severed all contact. This is ironclad, Mr. Hendricks said. If Lorraine Holloway tries to claim anything from this estate, she will lose. Your grandmother made certain of that. I looked at the documents, at the years of preparation, at the love hidden in legal language and notarized signatures. Pearl had known this day would come. She had armed me for a battle I didn't even know I'd have to fight. Thank you, I whispered. Thank your grandmother, he said. She was a remarkable woman. I know. Believe me, I know. 3 weeks later, Lorraine appeared. I was at the flower shop, arranging lilies for a wedding, when the bell above the door chimed. I looked up, and there she was. 17 years older but unmistakable. The same sharp features, the same calculated smile, the same way of standing like she expected the room to rearrange itself around her. She was dressed expensively. Designer bag, silk blouse, jewelry that probably cost more than my car. Her hair was dyed a careful blonde. Her face preserved by procedures I couldn't name. Wren. She said my name like it was a prize she'd won. Oh my goodness, look at you. You're so grown up. I set down the flowers. Wiped my hands on my apron. Lorraine. Not Mom. I couldn't make myself say the word. She didn't seem to notice. Or if she did, she ignored it. I came as soon as I heard about your grandmother. Such a tragedy. She was such a wonderful woman. You didn't come to her funeral. A flicker of something crossed her face. Annoyance, maybe, at being called out so quickly. I was traveling. You know how it is. By the time I got the message, it was too late. But I'm here now. Why? She laughed, a high, brittle sound. Can't a mother visit her daughter? You're not my mother. You gave that up 17 years ago. The laugh died. Her eyes hardened just for a moment, before the mask slipped back into place. Wren, sweetheart, I know things were complicated back then. I was going through a difficult time. But I'm here now, and I want to make things right. Make things right. I repeated the words flatly. How exactly are you planning to do that? Well, for starters, I thought we could talk about your grandmother's estate. I spoke with a lawyer, and apparently there's a house, some savings. I just want to make sure everything is handled fairly. Family is family after all. There it was. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I missed you. Not, I should have been there. Just, where's my money? I walked to the counter, pulled out the folder Mr. Hendricks had given me. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. I handed her the documents, watched her face as she read them. The disinheritance declaration, the abandonment records, the 17 years of evidence that she had walked away and never looked back. Her face went pale, then red, then a mottled combination of both. This can't be legal. It's very legal. Grandma Pearl made sure of it. She can't just cut me out. I'm her daughter. You were her daughter. Then you abandoned your child on her doorstep and disappeared for 17 years. You didn't call. You didn't write. You didn't come to her funeral. You forfeited any claim to her, and to me, a long time ago. Lorraine's hands were shaking. The documents trembled in her grip. I'll contest this. I'll hire lawyers. You'll lose. I've already spoken with multiple attorneys. This is airtight. Grandma Pearl spent years preparing for exactly this moment, because she knew you'd show up the second you smelled money. Wren, please. Her voice changed. Softer now, manipulative. I'm your mother. I know I made mistakes. But doesn't family deserve a second chance? I looked at her. Really looked at her. This woman who had driven away from an 8-year-old and never looked back. Who had built a new life and erased me from it. Who had watched her own mother die from a distance, and only appeared when there was something to gain. You didn't just make mistakes, Lorraine. You made choices. You chose yourself. Over and over, for 17 years you chose yourself. And now you want me to choose you. After everything. I took the documents back from her shaking hands. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to walk out of my shop. You're going to get in whatever expensive car Garrett bought you. And you're going to drive back to Florida, to your pool and your boat and your best life. And you're going to do it without a single dollar from Grandma Pearl's estate. You can't do this to me. I'm not doing anything to you. You did this to yourself. 17 years ago. On the day you told an 8-year-old girl. Just 1 week, and never came back. I walked to the door. Opened it. Goodbye, Lorraine. Don't come back. She stood there, frozen, like she couldn't believe this was happening. Like she had expected to walk in, shed a few tears, and walk out with a check. Wren, please. You left me for 1 week. It's been 17 years. I think you can handle never. Left. I watched her walk to her car, a red convertible of course, and drive away. I didn't feel triumph. I didn't feel joy. Felt release. The little girl who had waited by the window, who had believed Mommy's coming back, who had carried that hope like a stone in her chest for 17 years, she was finally free. The phone calls started a week later. Not from Lorraine, she was too proud for that. But from lawyers. From relatives I'd never met. From Garrett's people, who left vaguely threatening voicemails about resolving this matter amicably. Theo handled all of it. He was in his element. Calm, methodical, armed with Pearl's impeccable documentation. They don't have a case, he told me after another failed attempt from Lorraine's side. They know it. They're just trying to bully you into settling. I'm not settling. I know. He kissed my forehead. That's why I love you. The harassment continued for 3 months. Then it stopped. I never found out exactly why. Whether they ran out of money, lost interest, or finally accepted defeat. One day the calls just stopped coming. Lorraine went back to her life in Florida. I went back to mine. I sold Grandma Pearl's house. Not because I needed the money, but because I couldn't bear to see it empty. I kept a few things, her recipe box, her reading glasses, the quilt she had made for my 10th birthday. Everything else I donated. The money from the sale went into a savings account. For the future. For the flower shop. For the life Grandma Pearl wanted me to build. Theo and I got married in October. Small ceremony. Backyard of our new house. Wildflowers everywhere. The kind Pearl used to grow, the kind I arranged every day at the shop. I walked myself down the aisle. There was no one to give me away, and I didn't want anyone else to try. But as I walked, I felt her. Pearl, watching from somewhere, proud and tearful, whispering, "Be happy, Wren. You deserve it." I was happy. For the first time in my life, I was truly, completely happy. Last month I got a letter. No return address. Postmarked from Florida. I almost threw it away. Almost. But curiosity won the way it always does. Inside was a single page, handwritten. "Wren, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to respond. I just needed to say this, even if you throw it away without reading. I made the worst mistake of my life when I left you. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself you were better off with Pearl. I told myself 100 lies to make it easier to drive away. The truth is, I was weak. I was selfish. I wasn't ready to be a mother, and instead of admitting that, I abandoned the one person who needed me most. I've spent 17 years trying to outrun that guilt, building a new life, pretending you didn't exist. And when Pearl died, I thought, I don't know what I thought, that maybe money would make it better, that I deserved something for all those years of pretending. I was wrong. About everything. You don't owe me anything. Not forgiveness. Not a relationship. Not even acknowledgement that I exist. But I want you to know that I'm sorry. Not because I want something from you. Because I finally understand what I lost. I hope you're happy, Wren. I hope you have everything I couldn't give you. Lorraine. I read the letter twice. Then I folded it, placed it in a drawer, and didn't respond. Not out of cruelty. Not out of revenge. But because some apologies come too late to mean anything. She was sorry. Fine. I believed her. But sorry doesn't fill 17 years of silence. Sorry doesn't undo the nights I cried myself to sleep wondering why my mother didn't want me. Sorry doesn't give Grandma Pearl back, or erase the scars that shaped me into who I am. Sorry is just a word. And I had built a life that didn't need her words anymore. I'm 26 now. The flower shop is thriving. We expanded last year. A bigger space, more staff, a contract with 3 local wedding venues. Wren's Blooms is becoming something real. Theo makes me laugh every day. We're talking about kids, not yet but soon. I want to be ready. I want to be the mother I never had. Sometimes late at night I think about Lorraine. I wonder if she's happy. I wonder if Garrett knows the truth about her past. I wonder if she ever looks at her cocktail parties and luxury vacations and feels the emptiness underneath. But mostly I don't think about her at all. She forfeited the right to space in my head the same day she forfeited the right to space in my life. I think about Pearl instead. About what she taught me. About the choice she made when she could have walked away. She chose me. Every day for 17 years she chose me. And that choice made me who I am. If you're out there, the abandoned child, the one left behind, the one who was told just a week and waited a lifetime, I want you to know something. You are not what they did to you. You are not their choice to leave. You are not their failure to return. You are not the empty space they left in your life. You are what you build after. What you become despite. What you create from the wreckage of their abandonment. And someday, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, they might come back. Looking for money, or forgiveness, or absolution for their sins. You don't have to give it to them. You don't owe them anything. Not your time. Not your tears. Not your heart. You owe yourself a life that doesn't depend on their presence. A happiness that isn't contingent on their apologies. A future that belongs entirely to you. That's what Grandma Pearl gave me. The knowledge that I was worth staying for. The proof that love doesn't abandon. The foundation for a life that couldn't be shaken by a woman who was never strong enough to stay. Lorraine said 1 week. It became 17 years. But Pearl said forever. And she meant it. In the end, that's the only promise that mattered. If this story satisfies you somewhere deep, then subscribe to Revenge Avenue. The next story might feel as familiar as your own family.